Every year, millions of couples jet off on their honeymoons, dreaming of paradise. But what if the person lying next to you in that luxury resort is planning your murder? Today, we're diving into 5 real honeymoon stories that turned from I do into crime scenes. From scuba tanks turned into weapons on the Great Barrier Reef, to a newlywed shoved off a cliff just 8 days after saying her vows, to a carjacking in South Africa that may have been ordered by the groom himself. These aren't horror movies. These are real cases, real victims, and real betrayals that shook the world. And by the end of this video, you'll never look at a honeymoon the same way again. Let's get into it. Number 5. The Scuba Diving Betrayal, Tina and Gabe Watson. In October 2003, 26-year-old Tina Watson was living her dream. She'd just married her college sweetheart, David Gabriel Gabe Watson, in a beautiful ceremony in Birmingham, Alabama. The two had met as students at the University of Alabama at Birmingham and dated for over 2 years before getting engaged. On October 11th, they tied the knot, and 11 days later, Tina would be dead. The couple flew halfway across the world to Australia for their honeymoon, spending a week in Sydney before heading to Townsville to scuba dive on the Great Barrier Reef. It was supposed to be the adventure of a lifetime. But here's the thing, Tina was a beginner. She'd earned her diving certification just before the wedding and had logged only 5 dives, all in a lake at Oak Mountain State Park back in Alabama. She even had a pre-existing heart condition called paroxysmal supraventricular tachycardia. Gabe, on the other hand, was an experienced certified rescue diver with over 55 dives under his belt. He knew the water, he knew the risks, he knew exactly what he was doing. On October 22nd, the couple descended into the deep blue waters near the historic Yongala shipwreck. According to Gabe, Tina panicked underwater and grabbed at his mask, pulling it off his face. He claimed she was too heavy to bring to the surface, and he had no choice but to swim up alone for help. But what another diver's underwater camera captured told a completely different story. In the haunting footage, Tina's lifeless body can be seen sprawled on the ocean floor, while Gabe was clearly swimming away from her, looking back over his shoulder. That single image became one of the most chilling pieces of evidence in true crime history. Now here's where it gets darker. Prosecutors believe Gabe deliberately turned off Tina's air supply, held her in a bear hug until she lost consciousness, then turned the air back on and let her sink to the bottom. His motive? Money. Prosecutors argued Gabe stood to collect around $210,000 in combined life insurance and travel insurance payouts. Tina's father, Tommy Thomas, an insurance agent himself, revealed that before the wedding, Gabe had pressured Tina to increase her life insurance to $130,000 and change the beneficiary from her father to him. Tommy told his daughter to just tell Gabe the changes were made, but she never actually went through with it. The original policy was worth about $33,000, still listing her father as the beneficiary. Gabe pleaded guilty to manslaughter in Australia and served just 18 months. Tina's mother said, "You never think your daughter will leave for her honeymoon and her husband will kill her." Alabama prosecutors later charged Gabe with capital murder for monetary gain, believing he'd planned the killing before they left American soil. He was deported, arrested in Los Angeles, and extradited to Alabama for trial in February 2012. But Judge Tommy Nail dismissed the case due to insufficient evidence. Gabe Watson walked free, and Tina's family was left with nothing but grief and a haunting underwater photo the world will never forget. And this next case is somehow even more cold-blooded. Number 4. Pushed off a cliff. Jordan Graham and Cody Johnson. Imagine this. You're 25 years old. You've just married the love of your life. 8 days later, she pushes you face first off a cliff in a national park. That's exactly what happened to Cody Lee Johnson. On June 29, 2013, Cody married Jordan Lynn Graham in Kalispell, Montana, after a 2-year courtship. Friends described Cody as an outgoing, fun-loving, church-going guy who was deeply in love with Jordan. But his friends weren't so sure about her. One friend, Cameron Fredrickson, later told ABC News that he'd warned Cody against proposing. He said Jordan was aloof, didn't want to spend time with Cody's family, and always clammed up around them. Cody told his mother that Jordan would change once they were married. She didn't. On the evening of July 7th, just 8 days into the marriage, the couple went to Dairy Queen after church with friends from Faith Baptist Church. Cody was his usual self, goofing around with 3D glasses and making everyone laugh. One friend joked, "Cody, you look like a young Jerry Lewis." Jordan barely said a word. They left around 8 p.m. and drove to Glacier National Park. Jordan told a friend she needed to talk to Cody about having second thoughts. Before they left, Jordan sent a chilling text to her friend that would become the most damning evidence in the entire case. "I'm about to talk to him, But dead serious, if you don't hear from me at all again tonight, something happened. Think about that for a second. She knew exactly what was coming. 2 hours later, Cody Lee Johnson was dead at the bottom of a cliff. According to Jordan, the couple hiked to a narrow ledge near the steep drop-off known as the Loop, along the park's famous Going to the Sun road. They argued, Cody grabbed her arm, and she pushed him in anger. He fell face first off the cliff, plummeting hundreds of feet into a ravine so steep a helicopter was needed to recover his body. But Jordan didn't call 911. She didn't call for help. She didn't tell a single person. She drove home alone and went to sleep. When Cody didn't show up for work the next morning, he was reported missing. Jordan told police he'd texted her saying he was going for a drive with a friend, but claimed they both routinely deleted texts, so there was no proof. Days later, Jordan was the first person to discover his body. When a park ranger said it was unusual she'd found him, her response was bone-chilling. It was a place he wanted to see before he died. Under FBI questioning, Jordan finally broke. She admitted pushing Cody with both hands from behind. "I just pushed," she said. "I wasn't thinking about where we were." But Judge Donald Malloy wasn't buying it. He noted, "There's only one person in this room that knows what happened, and I don't think she's been entirely truthful." Jordan Lynn Graham was sentenced to 30 years and 5 months in federal prison, no possibility of parole, and ordered to pay nearly $17,000 in restitution to cover the cost of recovering Cody's body. She won't be free until she's in her 50s. Cody's mother told the court simply, "Today and every day, I have a broken heart." If you think that's cold, what happened in our next case will leave you speechless. Number 3. Murder for hire in Cape Town, Shrien and Annie Dewani. This case made headlines around the globe and sparked a diplomatic crisis between the United Kingdom and South Africa. In October 2010, Shrien Dewani, a wealthy British businessman from Bristol, married Annie Hindocha, a stunning Swedish engineer of Indian origin. Their lavish Bollywood-style wedding in Mumbai cost over $200,000, a fairy tale spectacle with hundreds of guests. But behind the glamour, Annie had confided in friends that Shrien was controlling and emotionally distant. She'd even whispered the word divorce just days after the ceremony. Still, the couple flew to South Africa for their honeymoon. First a luxury safari at Kruger National Park, then Cape Town, where they checked into the opulent Cape Grace Hotel. On the night of November 13th, 2010, while riding in a taxi through the Gugulethu township near Cape Town, the couple was allegedly hijacked at gunpoint. The driver was forced out, and 2 armed men took the vehicle with the couple inside. Shrien was released unharmed at midnight, but Annie's body was found the next day in the back seat of the abandoned taxi. She'd been shot in the neck at close range. What looked like a random carjacking quickly fell apart. The taxi driver Zola Tongo confessed and pointed the finger directly at the groom. He claimed Shrien had offered him 15,000 South African rand, roughly $1,400, to arrange a hit on his wife. Tongo recruited 2 hitmen, Zolila Mangeni and Maziwa Madoda Kwabe, to carry out the killing disguised as a robbery gone wrong. All 3 were convicted. Tongo got 18 years, Kwabe got 25. Mangeni got life, but died of a brain tumor behind bars. After a 4-year extradition battle, Shrien finally stood trial in Cape Town in 2014. Judge Jeanette Traverso threw out the case. She said the evidence was riddled with contradictions, and the key witness was a self-admitted liar whose testimony was so unreliable you cannot see where the lies ended and the truth began. Shrien Dewani walked free. Annie's sister said, "We came here looking for the truth, and all we got was more questions." To this day, no one has been held accountable for ordering Annie's death. Did the groom pay to have his bride killed on their honeymoon? That question still haunts this case. This next story will absolutely break your heart. Number 2. Shot on their last night in paradise, Ben and Catherine Mullaney. Ben and Catherine Mullaney were the couple everyone rooted for, both 31, from the Swansea Valley in Wales, devoted to helping others. Catherine was a pediatrician working toward becoming a general practitioner. Ben was a former police officer and army veteran training to be a physiotherapist at the University of the West of England. They grew up in neighboring towns but didn't meet until adulthood. Friends say it was love at first sight. They married on July 12, 2008, at St. John the Evangelist Church in Sillibabil, Wales, and flew to Antigua for a 2-week honeymoon at the 5-star Cocos Hotel and Resort. For 13 perfect days, they enjoyed paradise. Then came their final night, and everything changed. In the early hours of July 27th, two men broke into their cottage. They ransacked the room, ripped open the safe, and opened fire. Catherine was shot in the back of the head with a single bullet. She died almost instantly, collapsing near the bed, her eyes wide open. Ben was shot in the neck. Paramedics found him barely alive, desperately trying to speak, trying to tell them something, but no one could understand the words. Ben was flown back to Morriston Hospital in Swansea, the very hospital where Catherine had worked as a doctor. For one agonizing week, his family clung to hope. But on August 3rd, exactly 7 days after Catherine was killed, doctors confirmed there was no chance of recovery. His life support was turned off. The couple were buried together at the church where they'd married just weeks before. Nearly 900 people attended the funeral at Llandaff Cathedral in Cardiff, including Sarah, Duchess of York. The killers, Caniel Martin, 23, and Avie Howell, 20, were caught 3 weeks later through DNA evidence, a bloody footprint, and ballistics tests linking the same gun to the Mulaney's murder and the killing of a local shopkeeper named Juanita Anderson Walker just 2 weeks later. Both men were convicted of all 3 murders in July 2011. This wasn't spousal betrayal. It was random, brutal, senseless violence that stole 2 brilliant young lives on the happiest trip of their lives. And that's what makes it the most terrifying kind of crime. You cannot see it coming. And now, the most shocking and most recent case on this entire list. Number 1. The Meghalaya honeymoon murder, Raja and Sonam Raghuvanshi. This case rocked India and made international headlines in 2025. Raja Raghuvanshi, 29, and Sonam Raghuvanshi, 25, were newlyweds from Indore in central India. They married on May 11, 2025, in a ceremony both families attended. Everyone said they seemed happy. No arguments, no red flags. They chose the stunning northeastern state of Meghalaya for their honeymoon, drawn by its misty valleys and the world-famous living root bridges of Cherrapunji. On May 22nd, they trekked nearly 3,000 steps down to the double-decker living root bridge at Nongriat village and stayed overnight. The next morning, they checked out and began the climb back. Then they vanished. Sonam made a final call to her mother at 1:43 p.m. After that, both phones went dead. Their rented scooter was found abandoned at a roadside cafe. Search teams, police, NDRF crews, drones, sniffer dogs scoured the steep, fog-blanketed hills for days. Terrible weather made the search nearly impossible. On June 2nd, the grim discovery came. Raja's decomposed body was found in a deep gorge beneath Wei Saodong Falls. His throat had been slit with a machete. His wallet, gold ring, and chain were all missing. Sonam was nowhere to be found. Both families launched a massive public campaign, believing she'd been kidnapped or killed alongside her husband. Then came the twist nobody saw coming. Sonam was found alive, hundreds of miles away in Ghazipur, Uttar Pradesh. According to police, Sonam had allegedly hired contract killers to murder her own husband during their honeymoon in one of the most remote places on Earth. 4 accomplices were arrested. Her father publicly insisted she was innocent, saying she could not have committed such an act. But investigators said the evidence, CCTV footage, a blood-stained raincoat, and damning phone records, painted a very different picture. The case sent such shockwaves that it inspired a copycat crime. Weeks later in Bihar, a woman named Gunja Singh was arrested for allegedly having her husband of just 45 days killed, reportedly inspired directly by the Meghalaya murder. Police said Gunja had been hiding a 15-year affair with her maternal uncle and wanted her husband eliminated. The investigation is ongoing, but this case has already changed how millions think about trust, marriage, and the dark possibilities that can hide behind a honeymoon smile. So there you have it, 5 honeymoons that became crime scenes. From the deep waters of the Great Barrier Reef to the cliffs of Glacier National Park, from the streets of Cape Town to a 5-star resort in Antigua, and into the misty valleys of Meghalaya, these 5 stories prove one terrifying truth. Sometimes the person who promises to love you forever is the very one you should fear the most. Now here's my question, and I genuinely want to hear from you. Which of these 5 cases shocked you the most? Was it the scuba tank betrayal? The cliff push 8 days into a marriage? The alleged murder for hire in South Africa? Drop your answer in the comments right now. And if you know of a honeymoon crime case we missed, tell us about it. We might feature it in our next video. If this video sent chills down your spine, smash that like button right now. Share it with a friend who loves true crime. I guarantee they haven't heard all 5 of these stories. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button and tap the notification bell so you never miss another deep dive. We drop new content every single week, and trust me, the next one is going to absolutely blow your mind. Until then, stay safe out there, and maybe do a little extra background check before you say, I do.